Alabama started spring football this week. All eyes on the quarterback room. You got Keelon Russell, high-profile true freshman, who's going to be a dude for them long-term in Tuscaloosa. You got Ty Simpson, been around the block a little bit, and Austin Mack, who came over with Keelon DeBoer from Washington, reunited now with his former OC in Ryan Grubb. So what's it going to take to win this battle? The next question we have to ask after that is, what hangs in the balance of who ends up winning this battle? We'll talk about it right now. Bama fans, lock in, baby. Lock in. Got a lot to unpack throughout the course of spring practice, as well as fall camp. Good news, we're going to talk about all of it. So make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Love you. Handshake emoji. Thank you for that. All right, so a little bit of intel here from Bama Online, which go get a membership over there if you haven't already. Tim Watts and the entire team over there just blessing us with coverage. Could mean nothing, could mean something, but the order in which reps were taken, if you believe in line science, rep science, Ty Simpson was taking the front of the line reps, Austin Mack next, Keelon Russell next. Now, will this change? Probably. Will they shuffle the deck a little bit? I'm assuming that's the case. To clarify here, that's not like they went with the ones and the twos and the threes. That's just from what I gathered over at Bama Online, how they were going through routes on air. They're going through drills. Could mean something, could mean nothing, but if you're into that sort of thing, that's something to take account for. Again, new offensive coordinator on the sticks in Ryan Grubb. This is crucial now because Keelon DeBoer, if you're calling him Batman, this is his Robin. It's not to downplay what Ryan Grubb is, only to elevate. Like Batman is Batman when he has the right sidekick. Keelon DeBoer is at his best over the course of his career when he's got Ryan Grubb as his offensive coordinator. So I think that's reasons to have some high expectations for this quarterback room here in 2025. Now, what's it going to take to win the job? It's kind of a boring answer, but I think a lot of the cliches or the boxes you want checked when you're going through Bama Online and trying to get the intel as to who's ahead in this race. Like I kind of want this quarterback, whoever ends up winning the job, to be like my road trips. Pretty boring, pretty standard. I don't want an exciting road trip. I don't want, wow, that was a close call. Wow, that was an exciting turn. No, I want it to be steady, went the right place with the football, went through his progressions, made the right throws, played a clean scrimmage. That's the kind of thing that I want to hear because quite frankly now, when you look at Jalen Milroe a season ago, it was kind of the antithesis of that, right? That's kind of what you got from Jalen Milroe. Super exciting, super high energy, but the cliche plays that you more often than not as an offense need to stay on schedule and set things up in your system, those weren't something that he necessarily majored in. Now, that's not me dunking on Jalen Milroe. I still think that he's a tremendous football player, but as a quarterback in the system for Keelon DeBoer, it wasn't a great fit. Nobody's fault, just wasn't a great fit. The encouraging thing here, when you talk about all three of these guys from Simpson, Mack, and Russell, I think they all probably fit the mold a little bit more as to the profile of a pocket passer that you would need in a Keelon DeBoer, Ryan Grubb offense. So I mentioned you need to do the boring stuff well, which again, I totally hear you. That's cliche. That's a cop-out. That's a boring answer. You're saying a lot without saying anything. As much as you need to major in the boring things will then equate to exciting results. That's where the good vibes are going to happen, okay? Because when you think about Jake Haener and Michael Penix Jr., a lot of the plays that they made, you go back and watch what they did in their offense when they were with Keelon DeBoer and with Ryan Grubb at Fresno State and Washington, respectively. They were really, really good at setting up the big play. And when the big play was there, they were on it. Like they did not leave a lot of money on the table. And so as much as I'm saying you have to do the boring things, make no mistake, you're not rolling out there with the game manager. And I love Jacob Coker. I love A.J. McCarron. Both got national championships to their name, but we're living in a different world here in 2025 in college football, especially in Tuscaloosa. This offense still requires some of those what I call pre-workout kind of throws, right? You got the blood flowing, face a little bit itchy, heart's racing. When those moments happen, you got to be able to make the throw downfield. And you saw now when you watch Washington in 2023, Michael Penix Jr. had a number of elite throws downfield, a number of just dropping in a bucket. It's going to take some of that. Now, I don't think you need to be Michael Penix Jr. for it all to work out how you want it to work out for Alabama, but like whoever ends up getting the job, they're not putting the training wheels on them. They're not going to say, oh, well, we'll call this a little bit different for you. It's still a quarterback-driven system. I mean, going back to how this offense has been run historically between these two guys before they got to Alabama, 40 attempts a game is right around the number that they have been at. Now, I don't think it'll be quite that many attempts in 2025 because of all that Alabama has on the roster. But it's going to be quarterback driven. They will go as the quarterback goes. There's no game manager. There's no 15 attempts per game. It's not going to be that. All right. Now, within that, we need to make sure we address this. Expect as much from the quarterback as they get from what's around them. Right? Like Ryan Williams was great last year. I need him to step it up next season. Jeremy Bernard, he's back. I need him to level up again. I need the tight end room to level up. I need the running back room to be able to set the tone on the ground. Like, it definitely is a thing where the quarterback drives the bus, but I still need the playmakers for Alabama to maximize this offense, right? Because you saw Washington. I keep going back to Washington, but I think it's the best example because they had the most success in that offense. Rome Odunze was incredible. Jalen Polk was incredible. Jalen McMillan was incredible. Tight end play was like all these different pieces were, granted, at a really high talent level, but that's what made it hum. Michael Penix Jr., of course, but it went to another gear because of those guys making plays and winning their matchups, which is going to be what's asked of a lot of these skill players. So that's what it's going to take. Make the morning play, make the big throws, all those things. But what's at stake with this battle is arguably the most intriguing part of this. I think it is two prongs that I'm watching most closely. The first is whoever wins this quarterback battle will have a large say in Keelon DeBoer's future in Tuscaloosa. That's not me saying that if he has a bad year next year, he's on the hot seat. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it will chart, I think, the path forward for him when it comes to the optics around Alabama. Because right now, after year one, Alabama had a top 3 recruiting class. Keelon DeBoer had tremendous relationships on the West Coast that he maximized, and it went how it went. But on the field, they did not meet the standard. The standard is to make the college football playoff, win the SEC, win national championships. That did not happen in year one. Now, in year two, if you don't achieve at the level you expect to achieve at for the second season in a row, a lot of people, again, not on the hot seat, it's not what I'm saying, but there will be murmurs of, man, what is Alabama right now? That's the question. What is Alabama going to be under Keelon DeBoer? Because the last 2 years now, we've missed the college football playoff. So when that's the case, again, I'm not saying that he won't still be awesome in Tuscaloosa. I've told y'all many times, I believe in DeBoer. I believe in what he is as a recruiter. I believe in Alabama. But with that being said, it is a lot harder to recruit uphill than it is if you make the playoff the second season for Keelon DeBoer. Because if they make the playoff in 2025, you're saying, okay, like, hey, Bama, yeah, rough first year, but look, they just made the playoff. They locked up, I would imagine, that at that point, another top 5, top 3 recruiting class in Tuscaloosa. Okay, hey, bit of a hiccup the first year, still won 9 games. We're off to the races now. The Keelon DeBoer vibes are immaculate, and Bama's still Bama. That would be the feeling. Again, however that happens, quarterback's going to have a lot to do with it. So that's the first part of this. The second prong I'm looking at is just the overall lay of the land in college football. It's changed so much with the new playoff and NIL and the portal, all those things, but I think it's interesting to look at what Bama was with Nick Saban and the world they're in now with Keelon DeBoer. When Nick Saban was there, like Bama's roster was the Monstars. Everyone else was like trying to catch up. There was a very visible Bama gap that a couple of other schools were on the same playing field as them. You talk about Ohio State and you talk about Georgia and LSU at different points. But for the most part, there was a pretty clear gap, talent-wise, between Bama and everyone else. Y'all, teams are catching up in the SEC. And that's not exclusive to Bama. That's just the new world of college football. Like, I saw Ole Miss play Georgia last year and beat the brakes off those dudes. And I left that game saying, hey, Ole Miss, God bless them, they had better players than Georgia. Now, will that be the case in 25? I have no idea, but that's the point that I'm making here. A lot of other teams across college football are upping their talent level on the high end, and then the lower end of rosters, the depth is much less than I think it's ever been in college football. Take Kirby Smart's word for it, and the other coaches that jump up to a mic and talk portal and talk depth. It's kind of deteriorating in a lot of sense. So with that being the case, if roster talent is going to be, I don't want to say even because that feels like the wrong word, but more even than ever before, what does it come down to? Well, same thing it comes down to in playoff football, the quarterback. So if Bama is going to win the SEC in 2025, it'll be because they had one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC. That's my estimation. Because everyone talks so much about what Carson Beck wasn't last year and how Quinn Ewers didn't meet expectations preseason, and we're finding out now that maybe the torn oblique had something to do with it. But even with that being said, those were still 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the conference last season. I don't think it's a coincidence. They were also the two quarterbacks that played for the SEC championship. The point I'm making is you still need a quarterback to win at the highest level in college football. That's where we are right now. And so if you're Keelon DeBoer, notice that's kind of been his calling card, right? Offensive football. That's where he's cut his teeth as a head coach and as a just overall like coach in the sport. That's what he's been known for. And so you talk about the stakes here, like the pressure on whoever wins this job is going to be immense, not just from the Bama side of things, but that was what Keelon DeBoer, I don't want to say was hired for exclusively, but that was the headline. Like when you talk about what Keelon DeBoer is as a head coach, it's, hey, he's a great offensive mind, great quarterback specialist. So whoever ends up winning this job will have the pressure and the privilege of upholding that reputation and continuing that expectation for what Keelon DeBoer is as an offensive coach. Because last year, that was where they probably missed the mark the most, right? Oklahoma game comes to mind. You think about the Tennessee game, the way they weren't able to ever really get it into gear offensively. It's a good defense in Tennessee. The point we're making here is whoever wins the job, you have the pressure of making the Keelon DeBoer offensive savant, guru, whatever you want to label it as. You have to keep that intact in a lot of ways. After last year, that wasn't the case. So I'm excited to see it. Again, I'm buying stock in Bama. I am buying stock in Keelon DeBoer. And I am really intrigued to see who wins this job. So make sure you're subscribed. We'll keep talking about this battle as we get more intel across spring football. Get a membership to Bama Online and lock in with us here. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.